So right now, I'd like to talk about the drum fill in Stairway to Heaven. Had a request to talk about it, play it, and I wanted to do a little analysis of it because it's such a classic, monumental Bonham fill. And I used to think that the fill was actually played with two bass drum strokes, but I I came to realize, especially after listening, being able to slow it down and listen to it slowed down, you can pretty clearly hear that there's just one bass drum stroke. That's not to say that he would sometimes throw in two bass drum strokes at the uh, uh, end of this fill, because the fill is basically like a Herta type fill. Herta rhythm is basically this. So you've got two strokes quickly played followed by two strokes that are spaced out a little more. If you were to notate it, you could write it out as 2/16 notes and then 2/8 note triplets. So again, that would be. Now, the way Bonham plays that fill, he's basically doing that, but he's subdividing it between snare, tom, floor tom, and bass drum, like this. So in the context of the groove, during the guitar solo, it sounds like this. Now again, I used to think that it was this. But I don't think that's correct, although he may have done that at some point when playing it live. I know that sometimes you can hear when he plays the classic fill in Black Dog, which comes just before the, what is that verse? The da-dum, 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 da-dum. That part. The first time there's the break when you've got the vocal the fill that he plays, and you can pretty clearly hear this because if you slow it down, you can hear that it's just one bass drum stroke on that fill. He plays. Right at that point. But live, there are many live recordings that I've heard where I can clearly hear two bass drum strokes, including on the concert from, I don't know if it's Long Beach or LA, but from '72 when the one that's on How the West Was Won. You can hear pretty clearly the two bass drum strokes in there. He's not just going, he's actually playing, which is also similar to what he does in Moby Dick sometimes, we hear. So, that being said, I kind of digressed a little bit there with the Black Dog fill, but the Stairway fill, I'm 99.9% certain that on the studio recording, it's simply. Much like rock and roll, much like the ending of rock and roll from the same album, where he plays. Okay, now that particular phrase is also played in Night Flight. There's a point in the song, toward the end of the song. Let's see if I can remember the spot. Oh. Same fill, same basic fill. That's pretty much note for note the same thing he played on Stairway. play it a little slower so you can hear how it fits into the context, and as far as the context of the groove. And as far as the Herta rhythm goes, that's basically this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, again. 1, 2, all on the snare. So the rhythm, the stairway fill, the rhythm is this. And again, the sticking, the way it's phrased over the drums, is this. So slower tempo. Now there's another fill that he often plays that sounds similar, but it's played differently. It's actually just a completely different fill. But I used to think on Hot's On For Nowhere, there's a point toward the end of the song where he plays a similar kind of fill. It's a Herta type fill like that. And it's, let's see if I can find that spot now. Cue right up to it in my head. It's the part where it's going oh 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 dum 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 boom. He plays a big fill. The first time he plays it, he only plays it twice, so it's like this. So it's right in there. The second time he plays that fill in the song, I used to think it was this, and I'm going to play what I thought it was first. Now, I don't think it's that anymore, and the reason is I don't hear a tom-tom in there, first of all, and what I think I hear is the first stroke that he the first strokes that he plays is kind of like the studio Black Dog fill. But then I think I hear two bass drum strokes for the next two. Now this is getting into real microscopic analysis, but hey, that's what we're here for, right? Okay, so this is what I think it is and the way he plays it on that recording. Okay, so what is that? So the first fill is kind of like the Black Dog phrase. It's very simple. Okay, but the next one, I think he puts two bass drum strokes in, and this is what I mean by, when I say that Bonzo wasn't always formulaic in the way he played. I mean, he had his pet fills and phrases, of course, but he would often change things up about them very subtly, just depending on his mood and the spontaneity in the moment. So, for example, in this fill, I think what he's doing is he's playing. That's the fill slowed down. So let's play it. I'm going to play it at a slower tempo and play it in context of the beat. Now if you listen to that slowed down about either to 75% or even 50% of tempo, you will hear, I think you can clearly hear, there's two bass drum strokes in those middle two, and then the last one doesn't sound like it to me. It sounds like he plays. And again, this isn't really, I mean, as far as like getting down exactly what he played. I suppose if that's the ultimate goal, then these kind of things are important to really look at carefully. But to me, it's much more important to dig into it with the purposes of it influencing your own playing. So in other words, when you play that fill, if you're playing the song or you're playing that fill, you don't always have to play. Or just play what you feel in the moment, just like he did. So I hope that little breakdown of the Bonham Herta, as maybe it can be called, is helpful in understanding how he played those fills on Stairway to Heaven, Night Flight, Black Dog, and actually I intend to do another video on the ending of Rock and Roll, because there's so many variations of that ending over the years. He played it quite differently from early in 71, 72, and then 73, then 75, 77. It's slightly different. So I'm going to do a video on that. So stay tuned, look out for that. Thanks again for watching.